Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Bruderheim Town Council meeting. May the 4th be with you. Just had to say that. So would someone from council be willing to read the acknowledgement? Councillor Wayne.
Today, I acknowledge that the town of Bruderheim is located on Treaty 6 territory in the homeland of the Métis Nation of Alberta. The town of Bruderheim honors the first peoples of this land. We recognize that we stand upon land that carries the footsteps of the Cree, Métis, and Blackfoot, amongst other nations who have been here for thousands of years. Therefore, the town of Bruderheim has an inherent responsibility to foster healthier relationships with the First Peoples and further the calls to action as outlined by the Truth and Reconciliation Commission.
Thank you, Councillor Wayne. So we call this meeting to order at 7:01. Is there any additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda from administration?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, administration has one, the addition of 8.5, request from Fort Saskatchewan Multilingual Society.
Would that be 8.6?
Oh, I'm sorry. Is it 8.6? Yes, sorry. Thank you.
Request from Fort Saskatchewan.
What was that? Sorry.
It's an addition. 8.6.
Addition 8.6, a request from Fort Saskatchewan Multilingual Society.
Thank you. Any other additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda? Haven't heard none. Looking for a motion to adopt the agenda as amended. Councillor Wayne.
I make a motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
Thank you, Councillor Wayne. Any comments, questions, or concerns with the motion? Haven't heard none. Call for a vote. Anyone opposed? And the motion is carried. So we can move on to number 6. Need a motion to adopt the minutes of April 19th. Councillor Dane. Oh, yeah, you're right. Thank you. I skipped right over that because it wasn't in bold. I just skipped it. Thanks, Councillor Len. So we have some proclamations to declare, 5.1 and 5.2. And I was going to ask, I have to read them, right? We can't have a delegation for, okay. Well, you'll have to put up with me struggling through this. Town of Bruderheim Economic Development Week. Whereas the International Economic Development Council is the largest professional economic development organization dedicated to serving economic developers, and whereas for almost 50 years, Economic Developers Alberta has been Alberta's leading economic development network, committed to advancing the economic development profession by providing resources, professional development, and networking opportunities. And whereas economic developers promote economic well-being and quality of life for their communities by creating, retaining, and expanding jobs that facilitate growth, enhance wealth, and provide a stable tax base. And whereas economic developers stimulate and incubate entrepreneurism in order to help establish the next generation of new businesses, which is a hallmark of Alberta's economy. And whereas economic developers are engaged in a wide variety of settings, including rural and urban, local, state, provincial, and federal governments, public and private partnerships, chambers of commerce, universities, and a variety of other institutions. And whereas economic developers attract and retain high quality jobs, develop vibrant communities, and improve the quality of life in their regions. And whereas economic developers work in the town of Bruderheim, and now therefore be it resolved that the mayor does hereby recognize May 9th to 13th, 2022 as Economic Development Week in the town of Bruderheim, and remind individuals of the importance of this community celebration, which supports the expansion of career opportunities and improving quality of life. Be it further resolved, the mayor is authorized and directed to transmit an appropriate copy of this resolution to Economic Developers Alberta in support of these provincial celebrations. That's a mouthful. And we move on to number 2, Public Works Proclamation. National Public Works Week, Ready and Resilient. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of the town of Bruderheim. And whereas these infrastructure facilities and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civil leaders, and children in the town of Bruderheim to gain knowledge of and to maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2022 marks the 62nd annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association. Be it now resolved, I, Carl Hook, Mayor of the Town of Bruderheim, Alberta, do hereby designate the week of May 15th to 21st, 2022 as National Public Works Week. I urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association, Canadian Public Works Association, and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life. Thank you. And may I get a motion from council to accept the proclamations as presented? Councillor Wayne.
That town council accept the economic development proclamation and the public works proclamation as presented.
Thank you, Councillor Wayne. And now we can move on to number 6, adopt minutes. So looking for a motion from council to adopt the minutes. Councillor Lynn. Thank you, Councillor Lynn. Any comments, questions, or concerns with that motion? Haven't heard none. Call for a vote. Anyone opposed to the motion? And the motion's carried. Now we can move on to number 7, council priorities, information requests. We'll start with Councillor George.
Nothing at this time.
Thank you, Councillor George. Councillor Ashley.
Nothing at this time.
Councillor Wayne.
Nothing at this time.
Councillor Len.
Well, I have a couple things. First thing is May 7th is the seniors pancake breakfast. I want everybody to be aware of that. And I attended a regional landfill meetings, and there's some good news will come out of it. We just finished the budget. And this is, we're finally going to have the requisition a little less than previous years. So it's, and it was a tremendous work on that budget through that group because of the increased fuel costs were just tremendous to the landfill. So, and other costs. So you have to applaud them. They balanced the budget pretty well. So, everybody's pretty happy with it. So we're getting a reduction in Bruderheim.
Thank you, Councillor Len. Rolling 5-year average finally rolled our way. Thank you. Councillor Dana.
Not at this time, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Dana. Deputy Mayor Judy.
Nothing at this time.
I just have one thing I wanted to bring forward is, and you'll see an email about it. A resident had a safety concern on Brookside Park and forwarded council and administration the concern. Just wanted to let you folks know that. And nope, nothing else. So now we can move on to program requests. Deputy Mayor.
Nothing at this time.
Thank you. Councillor Dana.
Nothing at this time.
Councillor Len.
Nothing at this time.
Councillor Wayne.
Nothing at this time.
Councillor Ashley.
Nothing at this time.
Councillor George.
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
I do have one program request. There is a not-for-profit that is interested in advertising in the arena, and our policy doesn't allow for not-for-profits to do it at no cost. They would supply the sign, and I was just wondering if it would be possible to ask administration to review the policy regarding that advertising. Do I need to make a motion for that?
Mr. Mayor, notice of motion, yeah.
Okay, making a notice of motion for that. Thank you. And that's it for myself for a program request. Is there any other program requests? Councillor George.
Could you fill us in on a little bit of information on that request?
Sure. So there's a society that's a not-for-profit that raises money to help organ transplant people. They're from Northeast Alberta, so not that far away from Bruderheim. And they have a mission to support organ transplant folks. And one of the things that they want to do is put advertising in every arena in Alberta. And for example, Morinville Arena is an arena that allows signage for not-for-profits and no charge for them. There is a policy behind that. And so that's where that request is coming from. It's called Second Chance Trail Ride Society. They are active on social media if you want to look them up. Any other questions? Councillor Wayne?
Are they looking for like a board, like an ice rink board, or is it just something different?
They would pay for the sign. And what they're looking for is to be able to put it up in the arena at no charge.
Anywhere, they're not looking for anywhere specific then?
I don't know that.
Okay.
They did speak to Sherry, so I don't know if any of that information was transferred.
Are they looking for like a rink board, or is it anywhere they just want it up?
And the policy that Morinville has states, I believe in general terms, that if there is space available, then the sign can be put up. And if they find that they have paying signs that can fill that void, then that sign would have to move. So that's the policy that Morinville has. Any other questions on that policy? Councillor George?
Can an individual sponsor that sign if need be?
I can give you the contact information for that organization, George. Okay.
So, Mr. Mayor, just clarity to council, we charge an annual fee. So I think that's what Mayor Carl is asking. So every person company, organization that advertised on the arena boards, they have to pay for the sign, plus they pay an annual fee to advertise there. So I believe that's what Mayor Hope's asking, is that we look at the policy to see if nonprofits, that annual fee could be waived, right?
Yep, 'cause I think that's what the society is looking for. And like I said, they have spoken to Sherry. So any other questions? Okay, so if we're okay to move on to request for decisions, 8.1, tax rate bylaw.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Administration asking that council give second and third reading to a bylaw that will authorize the 2022 tax rate structure in order to levy the property tax necessary to cover budget and requisition requirements. That bylaw 05/2022, a bylaw to authorize 2022 rates from the town of Bruderheim, be given second reading. The bylaw 05/2022, a bylaw to authorize the 2022 tax rates for the town of Bruderheim, be given third reading. On April 19th, council gave bylaw 05/2022 first reading. In 2018, the town of Bruderheim incorporated a minimum of 500 and 100 for annexed land pursuant to the 2021 Lamont County tax rate bylaw. On April 19th, council approved the 2022 final operating budget of 3.57 million with revenue matching expenses, including a 3.7% operating budget increase, which established the proposed tax rate. Strategic plan areas, governance requirement. Other impacts, legislative and legal. The Municipal Government Act, Section 353, requires that a tax rate bylaw be passed annually by council for the establishment of property taxes for the town of Bruderheim. The tax rate bylaw is required to authorize tax rates that are necessary to generate property tax revenues required to support municipal programs and services pursuant to the approved budgets, provincial and school board education requisitions, and other requisitions. In summary, the 2022 tax rates being recommended are contained within the bylaw 05/2022 pursuant to the approval of the town's 2021 municipal final operating budgets. The following additional information analysis was prepared in order to further enhance the basis for the recommendation. Comparisons of mill rates, assessments, and tax with similar sized municipalities. The tax rate equals revenue requirements divided by total taxable assessment. Tax rates are a calculated number dependent on a budget and requisition requirements in the total taxable assessment. Property taxes are not a fee for service, but a way of distributing the costs for local government services and programs fairly throughout a municipality. Municipal property taxes of $1,460,864 are required for municipal operations. Alberta Municipal Affairs has submitted the 2022 school fund requisition in the amount of $396,100.45. Lamont County Housing Foundation has submitted the 2022 municipal seniors housing requisition in the amount of $59,685. Upon passing this bylaw, communication will be a media release, newspaper advertisement, and an information brochure. We've attached the tax rate bylaw 05-2022, the Alberta Municipal Affairs School requisition, and Lamont County Housing Foundation requisition. That's everything, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for that. So looking for a motion from council. Deputy Mayor Judy.
I make a motion that town council give bylaw 05-2022 a bylaw to authorize the tax rates for the town of Bruderheim be given second reading.
Thank you for that motion, Deputy Mayor Judy. Any comments, questions, or concerns with that motion? Councillor Lynn.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed last meeting, but I thought we weren't going to exceed 3% on the tax increase this year. We talked about that at great length previously, and I missed the last meeting. I'm sorry for that, but I find 3.7. I'm sure we could have skinnied it somewhere to get it down 3% or less. To me, it's more than I anticipated, and I don't think it's more than most citizens anticipated. We talked 2%, 2.5%, and I thought 3% would be in the outer range for me, but 3.7 is a little too much for me. So that's.
Thank you, Councillor Lynn. We did talk about potentially using money from reserve to bring it down, and council decided against it. Any other comments, questions, or concerns with the motion? I do have a question. Recently, the County of Lamont passed their budget, and their tax rate increases quite a bit more than the town of Bruderheim. And all the annexed land folks for Bruderheim are taxed under County of Lamont tax rates. And I'm just wondering, in tax revenue dollars, how much difference that is going to be for our budget?
So, Mr. Mayor, the difference was $1,221.76 from 2021. And remember, it's only the recently annexed, not the previously annexed. So,
Yep. Thank you. Any other comments, questions, or concerns from council?
So, Mr. Mayor, we added that to the allowance, which is to, if anybody appeals, that's what the allowance funding is for. So we just added it to there, that extra $1,200.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, questions, or concerns from council? Okay, I'll call for a vote. Oh, Deputy Mayor, sorry. I had looked that way.
So just a question and kind of, so if anybody appeals their taxes that are underneath that group from the County of Lamont that we annexed, how does that work?
So, Mr. Mayor, through Deputy Mayor, first of all, people can't appeal their taxes, they appeal their assessment. So that
Okay.
falls under us because we assess their property.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that question. Deputy Mayor Judy, any other questions from council? Haven't heard none, call for a vote then. Anyone opposed to the motion? And the motion's carried. Thank you. And now we can move on to the third reading of the tax rate bylaw. Councilor Wayne.
That bylaw 05-2022, a bylaw that to authorize the 2022 tax rates for the town of Bruderheim to be given third reading.
Thank you, Councilor Wayne. Any comments, questions, or concerns with the third reading? Councilor Ashley.
So when someone appeals their assessment, the town has to pay for that?
Yes. Well, Mr. Mayor, through Councillor Carter, there's a fee associated with filing a concern. And our assessor is really good. He works with the residents when they have a concern. And in the 7 years I've been here, it's never gone to the appeal board.
Okay, so there's just a small fee
Right.
on our end that we have to pay. Okay,
Yeah, if it went to the appeal board, then there would be.
only if it goes
That's
that
it.
far?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah, so our assessor is pretty good at working with residents and businesses and working through their concerns.
okay,
And yeah, in the 7 years I've been here, we haven't had an appeal that went to the board.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome. It's not a small fee, yeah. It's based on the assessment.
So like it could be $5,000 to $10,000, $15,000, right? Because you're putting other people to work to develop it. So it goes to a different board. And I think that one we have a contract with Lamont,
Strathcona County.
Strathcona. Yeah. So there's a cost to
Lamont
that
does our land
if it
use.
goes that far.
So whatever, yeah.
And as CEO Patty mentioned, our assessor does a pretty good job of communicating with people. And I think he usually is able to answer all of their questions. And like Patty mentioned, it doesn't ever gone to the review board. So thank you for that question. Any other questions from council? Okay, call for a vote. Anyone opposed to the motion?
I am.
And the motion's carried. Thank you. Now we move on to reserve transfer 2021 surplus.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Administration would like to provide council with information on the allocation of the 2021 year-end operating surplus for tax purposes. The town council approved the transfer of $63,053 to R1 year-end operating surplus for tax purposes. On April 6, 2022, the annual operating surplus for tax purposes of $63,053 was presented for information in the consolidated financial statements year ending December 31st, 2021. In 2018, council approved the Bruderheim allocation of year-end operating surplus for tax purposes, which would be consistent with achieving council's vision in areas of strategic priority. Strategic plan areas to provide for future funding requirements and emergent costs and to improve Bruderheim's working capital requirements, continuance of current service levels in the community, and public presentation of financial reporting. Other impacts, policy number FIN 001024 and FIN 090. In summary, the annual operating surplus for tax purposes represents one-time funding that by nature cannot be relied on or recur on an ongoing basis. Therefore, annual operating surplus for tax purposes should be allocated to fund one-time, generally non-recurring expenditures, i.e. capital replenishment of reserves, et cetera, to contribute to the economic health and sustainability of the town of Bruderheim. The recommended reserve transfer is to offset the RCMP requisition. The current reserve account being recommended for transfer of the 2021 year-end operating surplus for tax purposes is R1, the stabilization reserve. The current balance is $17,000, and this would add $63,000 to that reserve and $53. Upon council approval, administration will make the amended statement of reserves available for public viewing. And that's everything, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for that, CEO Patty. And we're looking for a motion from council for this transfer. Councillor George.
R1 year-end operating surplus to tax for tax purposes.
Thank you, Councillor George. Any comments, questions, or concerns with that motion from council? Okay, pretty straightforward stuff. So I'll call for a vote then. Anyone opposed to the motion? And the motion's carried. Now we can move on to 8.3, 2022 3-year financial and 5-year capital plans.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Administration would like to present the forecasted 3-year financial and 5-year capital plans, and they're prepared and presented to council in accordance with the Municipal Government Act. We're recommending the town council approve the forecasted 3-year financial plan for the town of Bruderheim as presented, and that town council approve the forecasted 5-year capital plan for the town of Bruderheim as presented. On May 5th, 2021, council passed the 3-year financial plan and the 5-year capital plan for 2021. On April 19, 2022, council passed the 2022 operating budget. Strategic plan areas, sustainable and balanced economy. We embrace community sustainability, focusing on well-maintained and planned infrastructure, effective financial stewardship, and excellence in service delivery. Sustainable infrastructure, the development of a 5-year capital plan, a healthy, vibrant community, continuance of current service levels in the community, open and transparent governance and administration, a community is educated on responsibilities and limitation of council and administration, other impacts, legislative and legal, MGA RSA 2000, Chapter M26, Section 242 to 246 and 283.1. In summary, in accordance with the Municipal Government Act, council must pass a forecasted 3-year financial and a forecasted 5-year capital plan. The intent is to develop a plan, not a multi-year budget. Inflation, growth, and service changes have been forecasted into these plans. The primary benefit of these plans is to identify future financial challenges and opportunities, allowing administration and council to plan and develop a roadmap to minimize and eliminate challenges and take full advantage of opportunities. Upon council approval, administration will make the forecasted 3-year financial and forecasted 5-year capital plan available for public viewing on the town's website. And we've attached the forecasted 3-year financial plan and the forecasted 5-year capital plan, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for that. Before I ask for a motion, you mentioned forecasted on both of those, but it doesn't have that in our write-up. Do we have to say forecasted in our motion?
It doesn't say that in your write-up?
On our paperwork, it says council approved the 3-year financial plan. It doesn't say forecasted.
Oh, Mr. Mayor, yes.
Okay, well.
Not on the agenda. Yeah.
On the, everybody usually makes the motion off of the agenda. So
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, please. Thank you.
okay, thank you. So I'm looking for a motion for the first one, the 3-year financial plan. Someone from Councillor Ashley.
That town council approve the 3-year financial forecasted plan for the town of Bruderheim as presented.
Thank you for that motion, Councillor Ashley. Any comments, questions, or concerns from council with that motion? Okay, haven't heard none. Call for a vote. Anyone opposed to the motion? And the motion's carried. So now I'll be looking for a motion for the 5-year capital plan. Deputy Mayor.
I make a motion that council approve the forecasted 5-year capital plan for the town of Bruderheim as presented.
Thank you for that motion. Any comments, questions, or concerns from council? I think it's important that, oh, sorry, Deputy Mayor, you had a question?
So I'm just looking at 2024 and we're looking at buildings of 417,000 and then the infrastructure of 2.8. Is a 2.8 is our water reserve? Okay. And what's 417 going for?
Just let me, Mr. Mayor, sorry, I'll just look here. I think I provided council with all these worksheets, but
You did at one time, yes.
buildings.
You can get back to me if you want. That's fine too.
What's that? Oh, Mr. Mayor, yeah, that's across from streets, not buildings, the 456,000. Is that what you're?
No, there's 417 for buildings.
Oh, 417 in 2024.
Yeah, streets, the streets,
Works.
but it's over the 400,000 one for buildings. Just wondering if it's our hall.
So, Mr. Mayor, we have 160,000 for 163,000 for a new kitchen in the fire hall and a new roof for the fire hall. Sorry, 163,000 for the community hall kitchen and 109,000 for the fire hall roof replacement and public workshop concrete slab repairs for 54,000. I think you have these worksheets in your package.
In the package? Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the question, Deputy Mayor. Any other comments, questions, concerns? Councillor Wayne, I think you had a hand up, and then Councillor George. Okay, so then Councillor George.
In your forecast, what is the percentage of increase annually?
So, Mr. Mayor, through Councillor Campbell, there's a formula in there and it's roughly, it depends on which asset we're talking about, but it ranges from 1.5% to 4%.
That is taking in inflation and
Again, Mr. Mayor, through Councillor Campbell, that's why the word forecasted is in there. And you can see that by holding off, if you look in the worksheets, it shows you that right now we get an estimate for, let's say, the HVAC system to be placed at the town office. And you look, and if it's not replaced till 2023, it's an extra couple $1,000s, right? So the formulas are in the spreadsheet that you can see that if you move along the years, the longer you wait, obviously, the more it's going to cost. We forecast that. But again, whether those numbers are appropriate or not. And again, supply and demand drives up cost, as you know, right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the best that we can do.
so when you made your forecast, were you selective and as far as priorities? What has to be done? What should be done?
Mr. Mayor, through Councillor Campbell, good asset management. We know that the life cycle, if you look in the worksheets, we're still working on that. What's the expected life cycle of something? So like a mower only has about 7 years, but a vehicle, we're getting 12 to 14 years out of it, like out of a pickup, but a mower is only 7. So we're starting to collect data on how long can we expect certain things to last. And we're putting those in where we can, and then proactively scheduling for their replacement according to that.
So we'll see that come forward in our next capital.
Well,
budget.
they're in there right now in the life cycle. If you look, and some are blank because we're still figuring that out, how long things last. So, but we have shown that the mowers, like for instance, are only lasting 7, not 10 years. So
Thank you for that information.
Yeah.
Thanks for questioning, Councillor George, and believe that our administration does a good job of asset management. You want to catch it before the roof leaks, right? Councillor Wayne, you have your hand up this time? Yep.
Yeah, I found it. On here, they're talking about trail lighting, and there's $100,000 that you're throwing in there for grants and stuff. Is that an active, like actively looking for grants for lighting, or is that?
Absolutely, we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we got some quotes, and so we got the quotes ready to go and watching for those grants. Those grants are all matching grants. And so, yeah, we're looking at the trail lighting and the cost is coming down, right? That's the good news. Solar lighting is coming down, that what we see. Also LED lighting is coming down. When we did our initial upgrades years ago, it was quite a chunk of change, and it's starting to come down as well. So the FCM green initiatives, those sorts of things we're watching to see.
So you've already, I guess you've looked at to see what it's going to cost, right? What does that look like for how many lights or what, like for the walking path? Like I'm talking like the dark areas like West Woodlands area and then the trail going
We've
out.
been looking at actual like bollard type trail lighting. Like bollards are the square posts that you see with the lighting, the solar lighting. We've been looking at that for long trails. Thinking about maintenance along the trails in the winter, not hitting those. Overhead lighting is very, especially LED or solar, it's right to that spot. We've gone and visited some places that have that, and all you see is right there. So we think, talking to other communities, that identifying the trail and people seeing where the trail goes provides a little bit more. But again, overhead lighting, that's solar lighting, is very focused down. As you saw when we converted to LED lighting in the town, the light isn't as big of a span, right? So, but the newer technology, there's some cool things happening. So yeah.
And ballpark, is there a dollar value, kind of what it's going to cost to do what you've planned out? Like how expensive is that?
$250,000. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's very expensive right now, but it is coming down. That's the good news, right?
Okay, thank you.
Deputy Mayor?
Thank you for that. I found the other 18 pages. And when I see some of this stuff back here built in 1954 and 1969
Yeah, our flooring.
and all that, lighting is not on the top of that list, I see.
So, Mr. Mayor, through Deputy Mayor, some of our facilities have things in them from 1954 that have not been replaced or upgraded. So, working on those.
They built things well in
They
those
did,
days.
Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Dana.
There's just a resident, and maybe you could just explain it to them. They're just asking if, so I quote what they say, is there a price for the fire hall roof fixed, or an estimate, or have we put the roof out for tender yet?
Well, the roof isn't scheduled till 2024. So that what we do is to get quotes for our 5-year capital plan, we know the square footage of the roof. So we just phone a vendor and say, in today's prices, what would it cost you to replace that roof? And without looking at it, because we have to pay for that, they just give us a quote, right? And so that's 2 years away yet before it's scheduled to be replaced, which is hard to believe, this being a new building, but our ice plant is also 5 years old now too. So time sticks.
Yeah, another 15 years, not that far away.
Time flies.
Any other questions from council? Is the ventilation for the arena dressing rooms on that list?
Mr. Mayor, we have, I think we have a solution that we're going to be able to fund this year.
Great news, thank you.
Host fans.
Any other questions for administration on this motion? If not, I'll call for a vote then. Anyone opposed to the motion? And the motion's carried. So now we can move on to 8.4, policing fines and penalties revenue sharing.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Administration will provide town council with the town of Mandera policing fines and penalty revenue sharing proposed resolution to be shared with Alberta municipalities, advocating for the government of Alberta to amend section 162 of the Traffic Safety Act, revised statutes of Alberta 2000, chapter T6. The town council second the town of Mandera motion for the policing fines and penalties revenue sharing resolution. Mandera Mayor Cheryl Kalanu forwarded information to the town of Bruderheim for council consideration to support a resolution that would like to put forward to Alberta municipalities requesting that Alberta municipalities advocate for the government of Alberta to amend Section 162 of the Traffic Safety Act, revised statutes of Alberta 2000, Chapter T6. Strategic plan areas. This would be an opportunity to advocate to the government of Alberta for shared revenue to align with the shared costs for policing services that have been imposed on communities. Other impacts, legislative and legal. Government of Alberta, Section 162 of the Traffic Safety Act, revised statutes of Alberta 2000, Chapter T6. As of April 1st, 2020, municipalities receiving police services under the Provincial Policing Services Agreement are required to pay a portion of policing costs, and by 2023-24, municipalities will be paying 30% of those costs. Section 162 of the Traffic Safety Act indicates that fines shall be distributed based on who pays for the policing, and yet those municipalities receiving policing under the Provincial Policing Service Agreement do not receive a share of the fines and penalties. The intent of this resolution to that Alberta municipalities advocate for the government of Alberta to amend Section 162 of the Traffic Safety Act, revised statutes of Alberta 2000, Chapter T6, to distribute fines and penalties under the Act to those municipalities receiving police services under the Provincial Policing Service Agreement at the same percentage that the municipalities pay for policing. A letter will be forwarded to the Mendare CAO, Colin Zala, confirming the Town of Bruderheim Council a resolution for submission to Alberta municipalities for consideration if council was to approve this request. We've attached the letter to Mayor Carl Hoke from Mendare Mayor, a copy of the Town Mendare resolution for policing fines and penalties revenue sharing. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for that. I'm looking for a motion from council. Deputy Mayor.
Make a motion that town council's second the motion, the town of Mundare motion for the policing fines and penalties revenue sharing resolution.
Thank you for that motion. Any comments, questions, or concerns from council with that motion? Deputy Mayor.
So currently we get a percentage of our bylaw, right? But we don't get a percentage from the RCMP.
That's right.
Any other questions from council? I have a question. Sometimes these kind of things go stronger if the MLA supports. Do we have the MLA support on this from?
Mr. Mayor, I can ask the Town of Mendare. This is their initiative, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, it'd be good to seek that out and have that support. So any other comments, questions, or concerns? Deputy Mayor.
And they want this done by the end of May. So if we don't do it then, do we have another meeting to look at it?
That's correct. We do, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for that. Any other comments, questions, or concerns? Haven't heard none. Call for a vote then. Anyone opposed to the motion? And the motion's carried. Now we can move on to 8.5, reserve transfer school playground.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Administration would like to provide council with information on the 2022 Bruderheim School Playground donation funded from reserves, which included a transfer from internal financial reserve. The town council approved the transfer of $25,000 from R10 internal financing reserve to pay out the school playground donation of $100,000. In the operating budget for 2020, 2021, and 2022, council has passed a transfer to reserve of $25,000 each year to donate to the Bruderheim School Playground for a 4-year term. The last $25,000 will be allocated to reserve in the 2023 operating budget. Strategic plan areas to provide for future funding requirements and emerging costs and to improve Bruderheim's working capital requirements. Healthy, vibrant community, continuance of current service levels in the community, open and transparent governance, public presentation of financial reporting. Other impacts, financial policy 091. Summary, the recommended reserve transfer will allow administration to process a check for the $100,000 donation to Elk Island Public Schools. The current reserve account being recommended for transfer of 2023 operating budget portion of the Bruderheim School Playground donation is $174,778.84. And Mr. Mayor, if I could just also say that in 2023, that will be included in the operating budget and put back into that reserve. So the internal financing reserve is set up as a short term to bridge us if we needed financing, waiting for other financing. So upon council approval, administration will make the amended statement of reserves available for public viewing. Administration will process a check made payable to the Board of Trustees of Elk Island Schools.
Thank you for that. Looking for a motion from council for the school playground. Councillor Dana.
I motion that town council approves the transfer of $25,000 from R10 internal financing reserve to pay out the school playground donation of $100,000.
Thank you for that motion, Councillor Dana. Any comments, questions, or concerns from council? I think it'll be a great day when we see that playground built. So if there's no other comments, questions, or concerns, we'll call for a vote. Anyone opposed to the motion? And the motion's carried. Good thing, because I signed the check this afternoon. Now we move on to 8.6, request from Fort Sask Multilingual Society.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to provide council with information about the potential for a partnership with Fort Saskatchewan Multilingual Society for cultural grant application. The town council directs administration to partner with the Fort Saskatchewan Multilingual Society and provide a letter of support for the cultural grant application. History: in previous years, the town of Bruderheim hosted a couple of cultural events, COVID impact events for the past 2 years. Strategic plan areas: opportunity to celebrate and learn about different cultures, partnership with other agencies and communities. Summary: the Fort Saskatchewan Multilingual Society and the town of Bruderheim Director of Development and Legislative Services have met and shared ideas for programming and opportunities for youth throughout this past year. The plans for the culture and grant application include activities for 1 day in Fort Saskatchewan, 1 day in Bruderheim, and then a day of Indigenous activities in both communities. This year we'll be learning from Filipino culture and traditions and Indigenous gardens. Upon council approval, administration will compile a letter of support for the cultural grant application. If we are successful with our joint application, information will be shared through social media and with council.
Thank you for that, CAO Pat. I'm looking for a motion from council. Deputy Mayor.
I make a motion that we approve the potential for this partnership with the Fort Saskatchewan Multilingual Society for this cultural grant application.
Thank you for that motion. Any comments, questions, or concerns from council with that motion? Councillor Len.
Well, I think it's a fabulous thing we're doing. We've, if we can share a grant with City of Fort Saskatchewan, it'd be fantastic. In the different cultures, we had some in the previous years and they were just fantastic. So I strongly support this one.
Thank you, Councillor Len. Any other comments, questions, or concerns from council? I just have a suggestion in the future when we're partnering, we could maybe think about Korean culture. We've talked about that in the past because we have a number of Korean folks, but we also have Filipino. So, and Indigenous is always good to learn more. So is there any other comments, questions, or concerns from council? If not, we'll call for a vote then. Anyone opposed to the motion? And the motion's carried. So now we can move on to 9.1, Mayor and Council Committee reports. So looking for a motion to receive the Mayor and Council Committee reports. Deputy Mayor.
I make a motion that council receive the mayor and council committee reports as information.
Thank you for that motion. Any comments, questions, or concerns from council with that motion? Deputy Mayor.
I don't think you got my email, so my email wasn't working, so I will resend it to you with everything that I got on there. I apologize. I didn't read this sooner, otherwise I wouldn't have sent it out to everybody. Thanks.
No problem. Thank you. Any other comments, questions, or concerns from council? I just wanted to note one thing that wasn't included in my report because I wasn't 100% sure if it was going to happen. And I did the report before the meeting happened. On Monday, was on a virtual call with Minister McIver, folks from the province, Mayor Rod Frank, Mayor Duduque was supposed to be on the call. Unfortunately, he wasn't, and was talking about the Bruderheim natural area and the lands north of town, what the game plan is to prevent fires in the future. And after listening to the presentations and talks from myself and Mayor Rod, Minister McIver directed the province officials that were on the call by mid-June to report back to him. And then we would hear about what the provincial plans are for that area to mitigate fire hazards in the future. And the other thing I would like to do is thank Sherry very much for the materials for the Fort Sask trade show. I gave out over like 80 mugs, and thank you very much for all that information and your help with that. And wanted to note that West Woodlands had a booth at the trade fair talking about the project in Bruderheim. Didn't know that they were going to be there. I guess they were very slow on getting their table. Would have been good to partner with them. Maybe we can do that in the future. they're saying at that booth that they want to start construction next year. That's what they were telling people. They said they had nothing but positive comments and feedback. So, and that's all that I had to add for the mayor and council committee reports. This information. Any other comments, questions, or concerns with that motion? Haven't heard none. Call for a vote. Then anyone opposed? And the motion's carried. Now we move on to 9.2 Chief Administrative Officer report, and looking for a motion from council for that report. Deputy Mayor.
I make a motion that town council receive the chief administrative report as information.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Judy. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Councillor Len.
Well, I'd like to say that I took my time and observed the street cleaning in the town. And our little brush worked very well. It was great. We didn't have to contract out this year. And the cost of a new brush every time we clean is only $300. That's pretty darn good. They did a good job and they should be applauded for it.
Thank you very much, Councillor Len. Positive news is always well received. Any other comments, questions, or concerns with the CAO report? Councillor Wayne.
Just a question. I know in regards to potholes and road maintenance stuff, we talked a couple years back about some kind of a skimmer of some sort that puts a layer of asphalt down and it's good for years and covers potholes, covers everything up. Is that still in the works, or am I making no sense?
Go ahead, Mr. Tomashat.
Mr. Mayor, through to Councillor Letko. So what that's called is Microsurface Scheme.
Yes.
We are looking at that as one solution to prolong some of the life of the roads. Again, just to keep in check that it is a limited, it's not like a 20-year asphalt replacement as we would get 5 to 8 years, somewhere in that neighborhood out of a resurfacing. So it is in some of our projections, if you will, but asphalting is always better because we get the longevity and the lifetime span out of it. But it is on the radar for us to look at doing some microsurfacing, and the CEO and myself are in discussions over how we may look at that over the next few years. I think you're probably talking in particular 52nd Avenue, west of the shop.
There, and there's some other areas too, but yeah, I was just kind of wondering if there's a way, instead of, getting all the little spots, if there's a way just to, like you said, use that whatever, the microsurfacing, or,
Microsurfacing doesn't fill potholes.
oh, it doesn't fill, oh, okay, I didn't, okay.
The other negative to microsurfacing is we always get what's called reflective cracking. So the cracking that you see currently on the asphalt, that will appear in about 1 to 2 years. So there's no way to prevent that. And if it does start to crack, then we're back into crack sealing. Again, microsurfacing is more for a very smooth, non-cracked asphalt surface. So something that had low tar application to begin with. But it does, there is a need for it in municipalities. We just have to find where that need is in ours.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wayne. Deputy Mayor.
So I see on here you were coordinating this nonprofit Just Serve app. When is it going to be again? May 11th. So you want as many volunteers there, volunteer organizations there as possible to sign up. And what's the idea of the app?
For Sherry, I'll just answer that. So the Just Serve app is very common in the US and it's coming into Canada. So you put an app on your phone, and it's not just for organizations, it's for individuals as well. I would highly encourage everyone to attend and invite people, because if you want to volunteer in your community, they're finding that younger people don't like to volunteer where they join a board and they're on that board forever. They want to volunteer for a set period of time, and they know exactly when it starts and when it ends, and then they're out of there. And that's what this app can do. You can sign up to it and you'll get notices of events that you can volunteer for that might fit for you. And then you can put your name in to serve on that app. That app costs nothing. It's provided. And so an organization has an event coming up and you can know that they're going to need volunteers. Then they could put that event in there and then actively seek folks to join. The one thing that I would like to say is that I think that the more folks in a region that you get, the better chance you're going to get volunteers. So something new to the Edmonton area, but certainly sounds interesting and willing to give it a try. And Sherry was kind enough to organize an evening where they're going to come out and describe for folks what that app can do for organizations and for individuals. Yeah, they were at the Shared Park Commerce Trade Show. Thank you for the question. Any other comments, questions, or concerns with the CAO report? Just wanted to mention that the area on 52nd Avenue, just west of the intersection that's on the west side of town, that was a concern brought to me, and that person and myself, we went on the Strathcona website, and you can register and you can drop a pin in an exact location on any road in Strathcona County. And within a week, they patched that up. And I know that probably Dennis did some of that intersection as well, but on the Strathcona side, those holes were filled in, and my car thanks those folks for doing that. And the other thing I wanted to just quiz about is, do we know if the consultant for the intermunicipal committee will be hired before the summer break comes?
Mr. Mayor, the RFP just came to me yesterday, and meeting with the Strathcona team May 11th to finalize, and then it will go out. So what was your question, before June or July, did you say?
Yeah, like before the summer break.
Yeah, it would come to council. So as long as the two administration agree that then we would bring that to council, and our targets for it to be out at the end of May.
Thank you very much. Any other comments, questions, or concerns from council with the CAO report? Deputy Mayor?
Just, you're doing a very nice job on the hall with her. I like it. It was good. It was nice, clean, new look when you walked in this time, which is really good. Thank you.
Yeah, lots of positive comments. Great job. Any other comments, questions, or concerns with the CAO report? Haven't heard none. Call for a vote then. Anyone opposed to the motion? And the motion's carried. So now we can move on to correspondence and information items. Like to add a correspondence item to that list. We got an email recently from the organizers of the FCM conference in Regina, inviting our community to have a presence to take part in a speaker panel talking about climate change and rural resilient rurals. I think our community is getting noticed about that across Canada. So don't know if anybody from council can attend or not. I don't know if we have money in the budget for that, but the invitation is out there, and unfortunately it's only for council. It's not for administration, because Jill would be a pretty good fit to attend that. So just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of that. That was a correspondence via email that was forwarded to administration. And that's it for correspondence. So looking for a motion to accept correspondence as presented. Councilor Ashley?
That town council accept the listings of correspondence and information items from the period of April 15th, 2022 to April 29th, 2022 as information.
Thank you, Councilor Ashley. Any comments, questions, or concerns with that motion? Haven't heard none. Call for a vote. Anyone opposed? And the motion's carried. Now we are looking for a motion for adjournment. Councilor Wayne, are you not going to get beaten to the punch this time?
No. I make motion to go home for 8 o'clock and turn on TV to watch the Oilers win tonight.
Thank you for that motion, Councilor Wayne, and I like your optimism. Anyone opposed to the motion? And the motion's carried. Have a good night, everybody.